Hi, this is Rob Polenic of Brutal Iron Gym. I'm making an educational video today on the whiteboard. What I'm going to do is discuss how to train for strength in a 30-minute session. Over half the clients I work with are personal trainers. One of the things they struggle with is creating good, high-quality programming in only 30-minute windows. So I wanted to talk about how we can structure the workouts to include strength-based training. This came from one of my trainers who is noting that most of the trainers at the facility they work with just kind of push people through a lot of random movements. There doesn't seem to be a lot of purpose and structure. It's just basically keep them moving the whole time. And what they found is that the clients are lacking long-term strength development in their workouts. So they were asking how they could do a better job of including strength-based elements into the program while still being able to keep the person moving and grooving and getting in and out in 30 minutes. So here's the breakdown for how I would structure the workout. Number one is to meet in the cardio section. If you're a trainer and you're going from session to session to session, usually the client is going to be there a little bit ahead of when you would be available. So if you're taking one client, from the start to the end of their session, right at the end of theirs, you're going to want to jump into the next client. Have that next client ready, but have them being active. Have them already walking on a treadmill, using the elliptical, doing something that's movement-based. What's nice is they're already getting a little bit of a warm-up. They're already feeling like they're doing something. And that initial kind of chit-chat that you do at the beginning of the session, they're at least going to be doing something while you're getting that in and out. Try to make that as quick as you can. When you start working with a client, tell them that that's the way you're going to structure it is, I want to answer your questions, I want to be available to talk, but we got to be here for a purpose and move and get in and out and make sure we're always utilizing our time. So if you don't mind, when you get here, just go right to the cardio area. Here are some ideas of what you can do. And whenever we're ready to start, I'll come meet you there. We can kind of talk a little bit, but then get right into our workout. So have them meet you in the cardio. Then you want to go into a warm-up that's 10 minutes or less and is full body, but also works on the core. The core is typically weak for a lot of people, so you want to make sure you target that specifically in their warm-up, so that way there's dedicated time to core-based elements. I like to do pull-off rotations, different kind of holds like static holds. You can also do suitcase carries, farmer's carries, whole bunch of crazy things. There's really just unlimited stuff. If you have access to sleds, you can do sled rows, sled pushes and pulls. Just have them do something that moves their whole body, involves some type of core bracing and activation. It doesn't have to be that the core is moving. Sometimes you can use the core by anti-movement, so anti-rotation or anti-flexion extension. Just make sure the core is involved. Usually you're going to set a timer for that to be under 10 minutes. That's going to be a good way to start to get endurance, their adrenaline, and get the adrenaline up, which is going to increase their aggression and focus. And then endorphins, which is kind of a natural painkiller, it's going to allow them to feel more focused and more ready when it comes to the strength-based movement. Then whatever you want your main movement to be, typically that's going to be squat, deadlift. If you're doing an upper body, maybe you're doing a push or a pull, but that's going to be one of those main basic elements. You want to have that be the most kind of boiled down variation to start with as possible. So for a deadlift, maybe you're just going to pick up a kettlebell. Start with a kettlebell first. Teach deadlift mechanics using a kettlebell before you would move to a barbell, which can maybe intimidate a lot of people. For squats, you can do goblet hold squats and have them sit on a bench or a box. So start with a goblet hold box squats where you can teach the mechanics, but again, it's a little bit safer, a little less intimidating. So that would be the first thing you want to do is teach that main movement. Typically for that, I'll have sets of 3 to 5 reps. So it can be moderate to heavy. There isn't a lot of repetitions done per set, which gives you more sets to work on technique and cueing. And then what you want to pair with that is something that is complementary or non-competing. And what this means is if they're having trouble in a deadlift, for example, learning to hinge at their hips, pair something with the deadlift that teaches them hip hinging. So that way it complements the techniques or the cues that you want them to learn in the main movement. A non-competing thing would be okay, they're pretty good at deadlift mechanics. We're actually at pretty decent weight. I want to make sure I'm giving their deadlift muscles a rest during the rest times, but I still have the whole rest of the body to train. So you can maybe train some push movements or some pull movements or some functional movements like carries and other type of movements like that. So it'd be something that doesn't directly compete with the deadlift, but allows them to keep moving. So typically with that part of the workout, they're going to do a bout of effort in the main movement, a bout of effort in the cueing or complementary movement or the non-competing movement, and then you would time about maybe 2 minutes or so to talk about how they did in the main movement, give them one cue that they can work on in the next set, and then you keep them going. So this structure is typically you're going to meet in the cardio, keep that under 5 minutes or less. Then the warm-up section I have here is under 10 minutes. Really keep that under 10, like maybe 6 to 8 movements, 6 to 8 minutes if you can. And then that's going to leave you more time for the main section of the workout, which includes the strength element. Now, some tips on how to make this happen a little bit easier is, number one is to have one cue at a time when you're teaching the main exercise. Don't overwhelm them. That can lead to you talking too much, them feeling frustrated too much. So try to stay with one cue. Then we also have to time your wrists. I used to wear a Casio wristwatch that had a stopwatch function, and I would click it whenever my clients stopped their set. I would look at them in the face, I would talk, and then around when I thought it was the time, I would kind of glance down at my wrist. And if they were still talking, I would actually tap my wrist just to let them know, hey, we're coming up on time. So that's a great way to control how much you talk, but also how much the client talks as well. And then the third tip is to set the tone. Make sure that they know what your goal is in the session, that you're there to help them become their best self. You want to talk when they need to talk, but you're there as a trainer more than a therapist. So telling them that, hey, when we start the workout, I'd like to be focused, I'd like to kick the workout's butt, and then if we have some time at the end, we'll chit chat a little bit. But when we start, let's get focused, let's start, and we can kind of chit chat at the end. That is a good way to do it because often there's not enough time at the end to chit chat, but you know you got a good workout in. Whereas if you flip it and let them just talk, you never actually get into a good workout. So these would be some quick tips, some quick structure that you can use to get strength-based elements into a 30-minute workout. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below or send me an email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. Thank you for watching.